Hey everyone, welcome to Alex and Andy Live with Shanghai Daily. We're coming to you from, obviously, Shanghai, China. Live, it is around 7:32 p.m. on Tuesday, the 3rd of May, where Shanghai is still under a citywide lockdown in relation to the COVID outbreak, which began here early March, March 1st, or slightly earlier. Today we had a fall in cases, but a rise in cases found outside of the controlled areas, but we'll talk about that shortly with our reporter. But first, Alex, how was your day off yesterday?
Well, it was good to relax, although I had more bad news this morning. One more new case in my building, three more new cases in the building right next door. So resetting the timer back to zero, and I'm still stuck in the apartment. And also, I had a package that I was happy to get delivered, quite an expensive one, with some stuff that I had ordered in preparation for staying at home for a while longer. And it seems like, I don't know if they've lost it or if I don't know where it is, but it's been 3 or 4 days now and they can't find it, which is pretty upsetting. So not great. Yeah. And I spent a pretty penny on it. And so I'm hoping that they can figure out where it is and give it to me. So not an awesome day for me so far on that front, but I'm still here. So anyway, how you doing?
Pretty good. Hey, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have lost your package if that's any consolation. Probably just somewhere, and you'll have to wait for it to come back. But I did see in the news today that more and more courier delivery companies are coming back into action. So they're clearing a lot of backlog. In fact, we have a video today. I'll play it shortly. They're clearing a lot of the backlog of packages. Obviously, so many things weren't sent or delivered. In fact, before the lockdown, I sent about 10 packages all over China. Nobody received them. So yeah, looking forward to getting those sent out. But yeah, over my end, a pretty normal day. We are still in the green, but still not allowed outside. I have been going for walks every day though, which is pretty cool. But yeah, let's get on to the news, I reckon. So we had today, or yesterday rather, 2nd of May, 119 new symptomatic cases and 5,394 new asymptomatic cases. The total number is down 18.95% on the day before, which is pretty good news. But of course, some of those were found in the community after we had 2 days, a few days ago, with 0 cases found outside of controlled areas, which isn't great news. But also yesterday, we reported 20 new who had passed away, unfortunately, the youngest being 49 years of age. But what I reckon we'll do is bring in our colleague, Yang Jian, who can tell us all about the latest news. Yang Jian, I wondered, because I noticed today that the number of cases, like we just said, found outside those controlled areas has gone up. Today it was more than 70. Well, yesterday, technically. So I wondered if that says much about the general trend of the pandemic here in Shanghai.
Well, the number of infections found in the controlled and the precautionary areas did rebound a bit to 73, and mainly because of the new round of PCR and antigen screening across the city. And I checked the detailed number, and more than half of the infections were found in the downtown Huangpu district. And maybe mainly because of the large number of old communities in downtown areas, like we talked it before, where residents are still using shared bathrooms or kitchens. And like the city's vice mayor said before, old neighborhoods, construction sites, and the large companies are always the key sites that most likely to be hit by another round of resurgence. But the good news is both the total number of infections you mentioned and the death cases have been declining by over 20 or 30%, I think. And over 30,000 patients were discharged from makeshift and designated hospitals after making a full recovery. And several days ago, the city's first city-level makeshift hospital was closed, and it was renovated from several talent apartments in the suburb Jiading district, which is a very positive signal because, during the pandemic in central China's Wuhan city in 2020, the pandemic ended soon after the makeshift hospitals began being shut down. And now another good news is there are over 60% of local citizens in the precautionary areas, or the green zone in your graph. And though most of them are still required to stay within their neighborhoods, once there are zero infection in the controlled and the precautionary areas for 3 days across the district, they will be given more freedoms, like to move around within their districts or go to shops. And 10% remain in the locked down areas who must stay at home, and 20% are in the controlled areas who must stay in their residential compound. So basically, I think the pandemic is still trending downwards in a rather rapid pace, Andy.
Of course, when we say trending downwards, meaning like the infections are going down, but the outlook is trending up, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So there's another thing that I've been seeing a lot of, and this has been sort of the case since this whole thing kind of started, and that's the disinfection, the people with the big leaf blower style disinfection, and just other different outdoor disinfection sort of campaigns. And we see that a lot, including spraying on the streets and outside in buildings. Has the government mentioned anything about possible environmental pollution that might occur because of this disinfection campaign and the spraying of chemicals?
Well, the CDC official mentioned that the disinfection campaign can kill the viruses that have already or might exist in the environment. And because according to studies, the Omicron BA.2 subvariant, which is the main cause of the city's ongoing pandemic, can live on the surface of stuff for at most a week. And there are cases before that people get infected from imported stuff contaminated by the virus. So the city's vice mayor said that the effective disinfection plays an active role in cutting the transmission of the pandemic. So Shanghai launched its environmental disinfection campaign on April the 1st, and it has been listed as one of the 10 main campaigns to achieve the zero community transmission, which is the primary goal of the city's anti-COVID fight. And there might be some worries that such massive disinfection could lead to some environmental issues. But the city authority also said no massive outdoor or air disinfection will be carried out, and the disinfectants won't be sprayed directly on people or in the ponds, reservoirs, and the lakes, or any other waterways. And no chemical infectants can be used in indoor areas when people are inside. So this disinfection campaign actually mainly focus on like office buildings and the key sites I mentioned, construction sites, markets, and the shopping malls, and the campuses and the nursing homes, especially before they are to restore the operations. And another focus the official mentioned is to ensure the so-called terminal disinfection at the homes of positive cases after they were transferred to the quarantine sites. And there are also some warnings and suggestions to the citizens. Residents are asked to never to spray alcohol directly on people or putting disinfectants into sewers to avoid polluting the waterways. And an expert said the focus of local families should remain on the group buying and the online shopping items. And there is no need for local families with no positive case to sanitize the living environment every day using any disinfectants. So I think the disinfection campaign will surely do more good than harm to the city, and it can ensure the safety for those who can already move around and make the zero social transmission target achieved earlier. So more people will be able to get out from the lockdown or control measures. Alex.
Yeah.
Awesome, Yang Jian. Thank you as always so much. We will see you again with some more pressing questions on the COVID situation here in Shanghai tomorrow evening. Bye.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was a good question, Alex, about the environmental issue. I have been worried about that myself. I did notice he just said that this outdoor disinfection campaign is one of the 10 main programs they're doing in the trying to achieve COVID zero. But I do wonder, because with all that spray, it can't be a good thing for not just people, but the environment. So it's good to hear that hopefully people won't be dumping things or spraying inside waterways and so on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen a few instances of, maybe just sort of outlying instances of disinfectant being used a bit wantonly, I think. But I think, a lot of people are afraid of what might happen if the virus lives. I mean, I hadn't heard that information that the virus can live on surfaces for up to a week. But I mean, if that's the case, obviously a disinfectant needs to be used. I hope that it's just being used in moderation and not being used in excess, because even if it's not sprayed directly into waterways, it'll find its way into those waterways through, the sewers and everything that lines the streets and everything like that. So I hope that he's right in saying that it'll do more good than harm. But I just hope that we can also sort of minimize the harm that it's going to do, because it will certainly do some harm.
Yeah, for sure. You would imagine, eh? Hey, we have a question here from Stephen Riley. Sorry, it's below that. Who asked, are there any predictions from the government when the pandemic prevention control might end? Now, Yang Jian just mentioned something about 3 days in certain districts. So if you have 0 community spread within 3 days, they will start to reduce some of these, maybe not reduce many of the prevention measures, but people will definitely be allowed to go outside and things like that. But if I had to guess, Stephen, I would guess that probably it's going to be at least another 2 or 3 weeks. I know you don't like predicting, Alex, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm hopeful that that's the case. But again, I'm sort of, I don't know what's the right word. I'm sort of, I just wonder what it will look like when we're actually released. You know what I'm saying? What sort of rights and or privileges will we have? Will we be able to across the street? So that they'll be able to do the bank next door, office, park. We'll see.
I think Carla. Alex, your internet is bunged out again. Can you hear me? Alex, if you could try to reset your internet, that would be really cool. 太卡了. So what I'll do now while Alex is doing that is I'll quickly head across to the Shanghai Daily website. As we mentioned before, and as Yang Jian just said, there have been some cases outside of those centrally controlled areas. So we saw 73, as he said, 2 symptomatic, 71 asymptomatic, which in itself I don't think is a huge problem, but obviously we want to see that number heading downwards if at all possible. Here's some more details on the breakdown from the different districts. You can see here these areas in white, like Chongming, Fengxian, and Jinshan, they have 0 community spread yesterday, which is obviously a great thing. And these are quite not isolated, but quite out of the way areas. These areas are definitely not in the city center. So my district, Jing'an, is here, 20, and Alex is in Putuo, which only saw 1 new symptomatic case, but 78 asymptomatic. So yeah, it's varied across the board, I think. And there's another story here talking about the downward trend of new local COVID-19 infections, which you can see if you head along to our website, shine.cn, which has all the details and updated constantly with new information in English. Now, Alex should be back. Let's see. I don't think it's any better, Alex.
Well, we'll try it again. Yep.
Oh no, I think it might be all right.
Yeah. So so it's good to see that the numbers at least are down overall. Again, I think I do live technically in Putuo district. Obviously, I said that there were 4 new cases in my compound, 1 in my building today. But as we talked about yesterday, my building counts as an already controlled area, as we're in the red,
right?
In the lockdown area. And so I don't think that our statistics are counted into the sort of. I think we're counted as already in controlled areas and not outside of controlled areas, as we mentioned before.
Right. That's why this will be so low, you reckon?
Yes. That would be my guess.
Yeah, that's true. So it is quite. I was just talking yesterday, Alex, because I think it can be quite confusing because obviously these communities can jump in and out of controlled or outside of controlled based on the cases. So obviously, if we see, for example, 0 cases in Chongming Island, and then today we suddenly have 2 cases, then even if those cases keep going up, it won't appear within the community spread because Chongming Island will suddenly revert back to a controlled area. So it's very, I think, quite complicated to get your head around, but hopefully we're trending in the right direction. Regardless, I would just like to say, yeah, if you don't understand completely how the numbers are calculated, how the high risk people are calculated, and things like that, just look at the overall numbers, I reckon. What do you reckon, Alex?
I agree. I mean, I do see another downward trend today in terms of the overall numbers. And so I really think that, you know, keeping it relatively simple in terms of explaining it, I think that is good. And, you know, as far as when different restrictions will be eased, to what level you'll have and experience those restrictions, not only does it depend on this, but it also depends on your individual Juehui or neighborhood committee. And so, you know, I think that we can be optimistic that things will open up, but at the same time, I think, you know, for our personal in our personal lives, buildings, and communities, I think that we should always sort of maintain in our minds the possibility that things might be slower than we hope for.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. Try not to get your hopes up too much is probably one thing to do, especially considering we're seeing more and more Chinese cities going into lockdown. Like actually just a bit before our live stream today, we saw that the capital city of Henan province, Zhengzhou, which was last year hit by those devastating floods, will head into a lockdown from midnight tonight because of rising COVID numbers there. So yeah, I think maybe Shanghai's situation may be a bit to do with that. Maybe they're being overly cautious to begin with. Let's hope, but we'll keep monitoring that. I'm going to bring up a video, Alex. This video we were meant to play a couple of nights ago, so it's a little bit outdated, but still interesting story. And it relates to an air conditioning company that has returned or resumed to work, which is something that's even more important at the moment as Shanghai continues in lockdown and the temperature keeps rising. Today, I think we nearly hit 30 degrees Celsius, which was quite a warm day. So people will want to be starting to use the air conditioning. So let's check that out and we'll come right back.
我们公司的话是在3月18号，当开始有一定的疫情的时候，我们就开始做了很多的一些储备。就是4月1号封之前，我们就是也大概储存了2个星期的一个物料，包括我们的员工啊，也是留下了一线员工留下了50%左右，进行我们的那个保供生产。那4月14号以后的那一周，确确实实我们在就是整个物流环节遇到一些困难。然后的话就是刚好那个时候上海市也发布了首批可以复工的一个白名单，那我们也有幸成为了其中的一家。然后到了4月25号，我们就拿到了上海市的一个跨省的通行证。我们在苏州和南京有2个工厂，我们通过它做一个中转站，然后通过这2个通行证的话，定点去苏州和南京进行物资的一个拉运和分发。那这样来看的话，就是从目前来看，我们的产能的话，就是达到平时的50%的一个水平。
Sorry, my mic was on mute. Bit of an insight there into one of the companies that have headed back into operation, which is something obviously that Shanghai government will be looking to happen. Obviously, it's important that people get back to work, especially as I was saying before, the temperature in Shanghai is shooting up, so people will need their air conditioning. Alex.
Indeed, it is. We had another one of those really nice, beautiful days. One of those kind of days that you just hate to be locked down for. For those of you, and I talk about this, am I breaking up again?
No.
Okay, good. So when I talk about this, Shanghai's weather, for those of you who haven't lived here before, is very much a tale of sort of a tale of two seasons. We have a long hot summer and a long cold winter, and our spring and autumn days, while they certainly exist, but they're really, really beautiful days, are, in my opinion, a little bit few and far between. Now, I come from Florida, a place that's beautiful 300 days a year, but these nice, beautiful sort of 28 degrees Celsius, in your 80s in Fahrenheit are the kind of days that, we only get a couple dozen, maybe 2 or 3 dozen of them a year. And so it's really, I really hate to be locked inside for them. But at the same time, it is what it is. But what you said is true, Andy, that the temperature rising, it gets real hot and it gets real muggy in Shanghai as well, with where we're situated in the world. It gets real hot and muggy in the summer, and we can feel that coming on. And so it's going to be important that the air conditioning is up and running for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. There we go. It did hit 30 today, which is really nice. Because the humidity here, like you were saying, Alex, it can get muggy here. This humidity is quite low. So you can go outside if you can. Sorry, Alex. And take a walk in 30 degrees and not get all sweaty because it's still quite dry. But yeah, like Alex was saying, I agree. These kind of temperate, non-muggy days are very few and far between here in Shanghai. Probably, I don't know, it seems to have lasted a few weeks now, which is great. But I am assuming that the weather will probably take a really quick turn soon in the coming weeks. So yeah, good to see, obviously, again, that those companies are back up and running. Just going to bring you guys to our shot of Shanghai. This is live. You're looking at Lujiazui, which is Shanghai's financial district. Beautiful shot there. We've brought it to you every evening during the show because it is just so beautiful. That is thanks to our friends over at Kan Xinwen, K News. Yep,
this is the iconic Lujiazui. We're looking from the Bund eastward over the river to Shanghai's iconic skyline that we all know so well. If you're ever in a trivia contest, in which, Andy, I've been participating in a few trivia contests online. I'm a bit of a trivia buff.
Oh, really?
I fancy myself to be, yeah. And so usually we might go to a restaurant or a pub and have a weekly trivia. But obviously we aren't able to do that now. And so some of the trivia groups I'm in, the leaders have taken charge to arrange like online Zoom trivia sessions once or twice a week,
nice.
which I'm really enjoying. I haven't won any of them yet, but I'm looking forward to it. But anyway, it's really been kind of fun. We're all kind of, after being locked down for so many days in a row, we're all sort of looking for different activities that can kind of pass the time. And that's what I've been using. And the reason I bring that up is because one of the common trivia categories is city skylines. And they'll show you a skyline of a city around the world, and you have to know what it is. Yeah. And so Shanghai, to me, is really iconic with the Oriental Pearl Tower you see there on the left in purple. And then obviously Shanghai Tower over there, the big tall one on the right, and then the bottle opener there. And so, yep, this is the iconic Shanghai skyline that we normally get to see every day. Not now. I haven't seen it in a while, except on our stream. But from our office, you can see it, and it's really always a nice sight to see. And I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing it again.
Yeah, definitely a very nice view from our office, the 40th floor over on Weihai Road. Great view there of Lujiazui. And yeah, it's the 3rd of May. So this is our, how many days in April? 31. So
30. So this is our 33rd day.
33rd day under lockdown. So there you go. It's a long time since we've
I've got friends that have hit 50 already. So
yeah. Tough. Okay, now what I'll do is play our next video, I reckon. It's also to do with heading back to work. So a courier company in the city has resumed, or many courier companies have resumed operation. And like I said before, they're looking to clear the backlog, which will be awesome. There are a few things I've felt confident buying on Taobao lately, actually, and also on Douyin. When you watch Douyin and you see a really cool product and you're like, I need to have that. Before I probably wouldn't have bought it, but now I feel like things may be slowly getting back to normal. So hopefully receive those packages. And this video I'm going to bring up now is about exactly that. So yeah, let's check it out.
Okay.
自疫情以来啊，咱们网点你看现场啊，大概积压了，估计有3-4万件货。今天预计能够到港的件量大概是在15000左右。今天的订单，我们已发出去的件量估计在3万多。所以说这个一复工，咱们这个件量啊，还是恢复的相当迅猛。然后这个快件进港，从发件地址到我这时候呢，中途至少要经过6次消毒，然后从我们这个地方送到收货人的手里的时候呢，至少也要经过2-3次消杀。疫情以来，这120小哥哈，其实一直是住在我们厂区的，我们是坚持每天1核酸，然后呢对他们的这个健康进行监测，同时在上下班的时候也会进行体温测量。
很多工厂已经恢复开工了嘛，就是现在的发货量比较大。
There you go. Like I was saying before, yeah, lots of backed up packages waiting to go. And somebody just commented they really take the eradication of the COVID-19 virus seriously. Good on you, Shanghai. So yeah, good to see.
Yes, it's funny that we were showing that video. I'll tell you why in a second. So I have seen that a lot of the packages that I have ordered on Jingdong or JD.com, which is sort of like Amazon over here, more or less, right? And so those have at least a lot of them that have been, maybe I've ordered them 3-4 weeks ago or longer, have actually finally, it says 已发货, which means their packages is already out. And I said to you at the start of the show that I had a fairly expensive parcel that was sitting downstairs for a while, and I was worried about losing it. Literally during that video, they knocked on my door and gave it to me. So great.
Just now.
Like 60 seconds ago. Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome news. Now, I knew it would happen. It couldn't be lost, I reckon. I think our package is being lost.
Just put it in I don't know what happened, but I got it. So
something.
Yeah. Hey, it's fine.
It's just a matter of finding it. I find in Shanghai with the courier delivery guys, oftentimes things can be misplaced, or you might suddenly get a message in Taobao which says the package has already been received, and you're like, I haven't received it, where is it? And you just call the guy and he'll be like, oh, you didn't get it, where did I put it? And he'll race around and try and find it. But of course with the
the difference between that and now is that normally you can go downstairs and look for it yourself. You can do some investigation yourself, but right now I can't go outside my door. And of course, on top of that, obviously, in Shanghai, in China in general, but in Shanghai in particular, people love to order things. People don't like people. We really in Shanghai don't do a whole lot of running around to the store. We just kind of order it.
We're busy.
The fees are cheaper than they are in a lot of places, in a lot of major cities. And it's just easy to get things delivered to your door. We're busy and we don't have time to run to the supermarket and run here and there and everywhere else. And so my point is that the number of deliveries that happen in Shanghai normally are really high, but now under lockdown, literally everything is delivery. Like you can't go to the store. And so I know that the compound management staff and as well as the volunteers are really swamped in terms of having so many packages to deliver. And so I tried not to give them any pressure, even though I've been waiting for it for a few days. I kind of asked in my group, I'm like, hey guys, like, could you ask about this? And they were like, oh, and it was like, and I'm sitting there just like, okay. But we got it. 迟早.
We got it. That's all that matters now, I reckon. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like in this situation, number one, you could go downstairs and check yourself. Number two, with those volunteers, they're doing so much. I would feel kind of bad harassing.
Here's my pack. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's good. But you got it in the end, and that is awesome because it takes a bit of crappy situation to really appreciate the good stuff. So it's there. Somebody, Charlie Joel just said, Andy, the pictures of a kitten behind you are so cute. Is it your pet? I have two actually. These are cushions. My two cats. This is This is Bai Sujin. So yeah, it is. And Alex, you want to show off what you have?
I don't know where they are right now.
No, your cushion.
Oh, my cushion.
I mean your jersey. Your jersey.
Oh, my jerseys. Yeah, okay. So I've got sure, why not? So this is a scarf from Shanghai Shenhua Zuqiu俱乐部, which is Shanghai Shenhua FC, which is the favorite team of Shanghai. I know there's another team in Shanghai, but I don't acknowledge their existence. Sorry. But yeah. So Shanghai Shenhua is the professional football club in the Chinese Super League based in Shanghai. And every day, I'm a big sports fan, and so each day I keep the Shenhua shirt up for Shanghai. The Shenhua
change the other one.
Each day I've been changing this one. Today I've got the Detroit Red Wings of the National Hockey League. So that's a hockey team. I'll flip them out. I got my Cincinnati Bengals hat over here, and I've got some others. So I'll be changing that every day just for the different teams and the different sports I support, just because I'm a huge sports fan. I want to show, if there's any fans of those teams watching, show a little bit of solidarity there. So, yeah.
Nice one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure people who are watching who are fans of those teams will notice the logo straight away, and they'll be like, "That's that."
Yeah.
We had a comment. We had a comment about your package. All that hassle for a can of Coke, Alex.
Oh, it was more than that. It was quite a few different things. It was a pretty big package, and it had it was over 1,000 RMB. So it was almost $200 US worth of stuff, and so I was a little bit concerned about it. I mean, that's not a small amount of money for one package, and so I was really kind of like, "Oh, where is it?" But here it is.
Nice. Yeah. You got it. Hey, now speaking of, these kind of people who are going around doing these deliveries, really tough job. We have a volunteer who submitted a little vlog they made, which is really interesting, where he chats with a few guys who are delivering food in Shanghai at the moment, in one xiaoqu, one community, where now the delivery guys are required to do a antigen test on the spot before they're allowed into the compound. So this is a really interesting video. So I'll bring it up now, and then we'll have a chat about it when it's over.
Sounds good.
Oh, which video? Okay, wait. I deleted it. Anyway, let me find it. It's here. Here we go. Got it.
And he does a lot of work in sort of controlling. He's the mastermind of all this. He's the one that controls what gets put on. He can even from the comments, which comment gets put on screen. He controls that, which video, and everything else. So he's doing a lot of hard work. So I thank you, Andy, for that. I know I've thanked you off stream, but I'll thank you on stream for putting this together and kind of being the quarterback, as it were, for those NFL fans. The quarterback is the one who kind of controls and masterminds the thing. So kudos, man. No rush.
Cheers, Alex. It's nice of you. It's nice of you to tell people it's my fault. No, just kidding. Okay, I'll play the video.
It's not my responsibility.
今天是做志愿者的一天，接到下了一个新通知，要求所有快递小哥在小区门口做一个抗原检测才能再送快递。于是我们在门口搭了个桌子协助一下。有的小哥说一天做了30多次。
要不你们给我先让手给我喷一下。
好，可以，给你消毒。
你刚说你睡什么地方？
河边。
张家浜的河边。
很多小哥都睡河边、睡街上、睡路上。
路上那怎么睡啊？晚上这么冷。
就躺在地上。我是一个好心人，让我睡在他的门面那个门面外面。可以了，出来了。
没事。滴了几滴啊？
滴1滴。
你滴个3滴左右。那吃饭怎么吃啊？
吃饭天天吃泡面，还有饭吃，我操，哪里还有饭吃？
那个什么，自己还做那个，那洗澡呢？
洗澡我说了多少天嘛，10天没洗澡了，10多天没洗澡了。
这么苦了？一天能挣多少钱那个？
一天赚个
够 OK，
赚个500块钱都不错了。
那也不是很多呀。
是不可能，你像他们出来什么1万块钱，我操，那不得了了。
好，够，
可以了吗？
可以了。挤多了，泡泡不要挤。
相信他这个是酒啊。
现在的快递小哥真的是蛮辛苦的，还好我们2个小时测了60几个都是阴性，没有出问题。希望大家今后对他们都好一点吧。
我已经对他们很好，好不好？
But no, I understand what he means. Yeah. So as we've talked about before, a lot of these 快递小哥, which is like the delivery drivers, are really extremely busy and extremely a tough time. Obviously, with the strict sort of restrictions in terms of getting in and out of communities, they're not able to go home to their own communities and get inside houses for fear of cross-contamination and everything like that. And so I really feel for them. I'm thankful for them for helping not just me but everyone in the city get the supplies that they need. And so they're doing really a thankless job, but also a really important one in the city right now.
Yeah, definitely tough. He just said 500块钱已经不错了. 500 yuan per day is already considered quite good. That's like, I don't know, US dollars, but it's about 100 New Zealand dollars.
About $80 or so.
Yeah. So it's not a lot. You see them running around and you might think, oh, there's so few of them out now. Maybe they're raking in the cash. That doesn't seem to be the case. He also mentioned how sleeping outside, eating 方便面, like 2-minute noodles, and hasn't had a shower in 10 days. So yeah, really tough job for these guys. So definitely our hats go off to these guys. And Charlie Joel said, so sorry to hear that they slept outside and had no place to take a bath. Yeah, definitely tough. Hopefully we'll see some changes soon. I did notice we had a video a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you remember, Alex, where there was some community centers set up for these guys to go and relax. I don't know if they have showers in there. Do you remember?
I don't know. I know that the conditions were different for some drivers than for others. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Even if they do, it's not an ideal situation for them. They're really working hard. But yeah, I can see how you could get burned out from that before too long. Yeah, I mean, it's really pretty rough.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, fingers crossed we can see the situation changing in Shanghai sometime soon. As Yang Jie mentioned before, we seem to be aiming for a 3-day. 3 seems to be the magic number of 0 community cases of COVID. So in any given district, and Shanghai has 16 of them, if there are 3 days of no community cases, some certain restrictions will be lifted. So I'm hoping that also once all 16 of Shanghai's districts reach 0 community spread, then the magic number will still be 3 days. I'm not sure. We'll ask Yang Jian tomorrow maybe. And then in which case some of these delivery guys can get a bit of a break, go home, have a shower.
I mean, you would think that, if they are in a jiedao or a sub-district that is in the green area, then if they live in that sub-district, ideally they could make deliveries inside that sub-district. I'm not sure if it's that strictly or sort of regimentally sort of partitioned in terms of just different kuaidi, different delivery drivers in different districts doing those deliveries. But then again, a lot of deliveries happen from one district to another district. And so it's, it's really strict, rigid control. It's sort of hard to kind of control that, I guess. They're very afraid of cross-contamination that brought by these guys. And so they've really sort of been very restrictive on their movement and where they can go in terms of into communities, because right now they're not actually going into communities. Like they'll drop it at the front gate of your community, and then the dabai, right, the volunteers in the hazmat suits will spray it down with chemicals and disinfectants in the box and then bring it up to your door. So that's kind of what it is right now with them.
Yeah, I saw a video today, maybe on Douyin or something, of a delivery guy, and he said he's just zipping back and forth. He has no idea which district he's in at any given time. It's just a blur to him. So if there is some kind of split or some kind of system and process, it's definitely not visible to him on the outside. So it could be difficult to try and find certain places in given districts, depending on where you live, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure if it's that policed on the outside right now. But yeah, as I said, hopefully we'll see some changes soon so these guys can get a break. Hey, we have one more video today, Alex, which I will put on. It is, we were talking before, you mentioned what life might be like once the lockdown's lifted. We'll probably be moving into some kind of a new normal, you know what I mean? So it could, one of the things we may see becoming more commonplace is COVID testing on the street, every 1 or 2 days. Which may be scary, but if that's what's needed, I'm not sure. So we have a video now, which is all about mobile PCR test vans, which I reckon we may be seeing more of later on. Let's check it out.
这个流动车的话会方便很多。以前去那个统一采样点的话，要排很长的队，而且风险也高。现在像我们都不需要出公司门，就可以在公司里面完成这个采样。我觉得对于我们，对于包括你们采样人员来说，应该都是方便了很多。
环管理。现在有这个移动式的这个检测车过来帮助我们，是吧？这个非常方便，我们也进行得很快，组织有序，不到半个小时就做完了。
A sign of things to come. What do you reckon, Alex?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe the little green cars, that'll be the new sort of hot topic trending on Chinese social media once we can get out there. Do you reckon?
Yeah, probably.
The thing about that is I think, look, I don't know what the new normal is going to look like or I'm sure there's no one new normal, right? I think this is going to be a gradually changing process. I'm optimistic that it's going to look closer to the old normal than maybe the more pessimistic among us might think. I don't know. But in any case, if we do need to get frequent COVID tests to get into buildings, I know that was the case in late March before the city was locked down. I know for our office, for a lot of buildings, you had to not only show a green health code, but proof of a negative PCR test within 48 hours. And that was really a bit of pain, to be honest. It was, to line up for the test, you had to get in long lines with other people in, and there's definitely risk of spreading of the virus when you're standing in those lines. Obviously, employees at hospitals are taken up with it, and it's something that I found to be a little bit cumbersome. And so, if that's going to be a requirement in the coming days, weeks, months, or whatever, it is good, I guess, to see that there will be some sort of it needs to be convenient and easy for everyone to get that test, get the results, get them posted onto whatever app so you can display your negative COVID test on your phone. If that's what people need to go about their business, to get into their offices, to do their shopping, to do their business or whatever, it is important that we make that as convenient as possible for everyone to get the test quickly, easily, safely, with the risk of cross-contamination from other people, and just get it over with and get it done, right?
Yeah, I think though I am aiming more towards your pessimistic outlook. I reckon probably, if you look at Shenzhen, which went through a bit of an outbreak just before Shanghai actually, and they required 48-hour PCR tests to even go into malls, restaurants, shops. So I reckon we're probably going to be heading that way, at least for a little while.
That being the case, yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it should be simple. Obviously, these kind of mobile units make it a little bit easier if they're on the streets and if there's kiosks on the streets for people to do PCR tests. But like you said, it can be a bit of a problem for foreigners to get their results into the required apps. There can be problems with registering, problems with signing up. As we saw at the beginning of this outbreak, you had to make so many videos trying to teach people how to do it. So I think if they can get over the problem of getting the results quickly and effectively into the apps we need, not just for people who have Shenzhen Chinese ID, but also for those of us who are here with passports and are not in that part of the system, that would be really great. And I hope the Shanghai government are working on that.
Right. It seems like we've had time within the last couple of months or last month and a half or so while everyone's been locked in. I know I haven't had to use my QR code in quite a while. And so, obviously I've had to get PCR tests, not recently because I've had cases in my building. So we've been doing just antigen tests at home and avoiding going downstairs. But in any case, when things do start to open up gradually, we're going to be needing to use those codes again and needing to use those results from our tests again. And so hopefully it'll be much easier and more streamlined in terms of being able to not only take the test, but get the results of the test and get them in a way that is sort of displayable to whomever you might need to show it to get into a building or any sort of facility you need to enter.
Yeah, exactly. That is one of the big things, because if you have to do a PCR test regularly, if it's not in the apps we need, it's as much use as nothing, really. So hopefully, Shanghai government will sort it out, make it work for the foreigners. I think that's a big thing. And we'll see how we go. But I reckon based on that video, we may be seeing more kiosks. It's funny because Shanghai lost our newspaper kiosks on the street a couple of years ago. Maybe we will start to see more kiosks coming back, but it's going to be something completely different. But anyway,
maybe when the whole thing is over, they can reconvert them back into newspaper kiosks. I don't know.
That would be cool. I liked those newspaper kiosks. They were awesome.
But it's online now, man.
Annoying. Anyway, Alex, I reckon that's it for today. Do you have anything else you want to say to everybody?
Not that I can think of. Just sort of stay strong. We all know that people are frustrated. You know, sometimes things are looking up, sometimes they're looking down, sometimes they're looking straight ahead. We don't really, you know, I think the point, at least for me, of our show is just to be informative, not necessarily. I mean, we might make some guesses, predictions, a little bit of speculation here and there, but that's just sort of sharing our feelings. But you know, we're trying to stick to just sort of the facts of the situation so that all of our viewers can kind of know what's happening, what might happen in their community, and sort of, you know, where things are looking to go from here. And of course, you know, as everybody understands, things are ever changing. And so just stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be back with the news of the next 23 hours between now and then, same time, same place. And we hope to be able to bring you some positive news as far as the changes that are happening here in Shanghai.
Well said. On that note, yeah, we'll see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Bye-bye.